Ouch. No. Why did you fall over that way? There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Buenas, Anita, ¿qué tal? Welcome, I don't know what that means. You mean welcome? ¿Qué idioma es ese? Árabe, creo. Pues es que estaba pensando en implementar un traductor para traducir entre inglés, español y japonés. No en el chat, pero para mí. You're sorry you don't speak English very well. It's okay. I would and I'm sorry that I don't mean it in a mean way. I just cannot understand Arabic, and it's hard to moderate, though. Oh, okay. One of my moderators does know Arabic, so if he is around, you can say a few things, but I would prefer English for the time being, for the sake of everybody else, if that makes sense. I apologize. I don't hate other languages. I speak 3. Vale, Lore. You're kidding. Oh, I messed that up by listening sometimes. There we go. Alright. Luck on runs. Can't stay, so you're stopping by in to say... Hey, yo, Saucy. Thanks for the good luck. Are you kidding? Si debes hablar en inglés o español. Aquí, como quieras. A mí no importa si hablas en español o inglés. De los canales. Aquí es ambos. Se habla aquí. Un poco. Depende. Vaya. ¿En serio, tío? Creo que es más rápido. Más rápido matarme aquí. Mierda. Vaya. Pero sí, ten en cuenta que a mí no me importa. Y es que puedes practicar tu inglés también. What's up? Nothing much. A mí no me cuesta cambiar el idioma. Normalmente, supongo que puedo decir que me hace ilusión cuando hay gente. You were surprised by the amount of bugs in the game. Pues es que en inglés puedes decir I was surprised how glitchy the game is. Como adjetivo. Deletrea glitch con Y. O sea, un adverbio. No sé exactamente. Creo que es adverbio. Y no es necesario poner el vídeo. Solo he visto, o sea, vi tu run y me dio sorpresa. I saw your run and I was surprised by how glitchy it was. Yo también en español. Pero puedes practicar o hablar en español o inglés como quieras. Si tienes alguna duda, avísame. Soy de los Estados Unidos. Es que... ¿cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se llama? Pero sí, soy norteamericano. Y por coincidencia, mi vecino de país, exacto. My goat doing goat things, yo, pra. Pues es que estaba... estaba en una fiesta de cumpleaños de mi tía abuela, yo, Yusuf. Y es que una tía dijo que... Pues es que... dije que voy a ir a México. Y dijo... Pero... nos odian los mexicanos. Obviamente es una mentira. Solo los gringos que son egoístas, ¿verdad? I don't know Spanish. I learned it. I started learning it when I was 15. Solo a Trump, exacto. Am I fluent in Spanish? I wouldn't consider myself fluent yet. I am quite fluent, but I'm not fluent. Exacto. Somos ruidosos y groseros. Started learning English from Americans on Discord from when you were 15. Yeah. I've been learning from studying by myself and also from speaking. From speaking with Spanish speakers. I've taken classes, but they didn't help very much. You can practice your Spanish here if you want. What is bro doing? By playing games? That's how a lot of people learned English. That's a very good way to learn. Interactivity is extremely good. Arabic is is your native language. I kind of figured from the username. Default language, true. Sí, somos americanos. Es una parte de mi gente. Somos vecinos. Yeah, there's a lot of people that there's a lot of people who watch me who are from have I been to Mexico? I have not. There's a lot of people that watch me that speak Arabic. Por eso te caigo bien. Tienes razón. I have not been to a Spanish-speaking country before. Learning languages by speaking with... Yeah. There's not a lot of people who learn that way, which sucks. At least from like the English-speaking world. But I think it's because, like, most, English speakers are not, I don't think we're as adept at learning language because we don't have to. Our language is the dominant language. A lot of Arabs know English because of games. That makes sense. I know some Americans can be really stupid about, like, being around Arabs because, especially Americans, because of, you know, stupid history, which doesn't make any sense, but you will not find any issues with me. Then again, Americans think that everybody hates us. Like, some older woman that was at a birthday party that I was at for my great aunt. When I said I was going to Mexico, she's like, "But the Mexicans hate us," and I'm like, "They don't." Whoever said that is like lying to you because they've never met people from Mexico. I've met a lot of people from Mexico, and the only time I ever had an issue was when one was shaming me for being poorer than him. You're learning Spanish because you want to be special and different. Well, you are in a good place. Not racism, classism. Well, from the American side, racism. From what I was speaking about somebody from Latin America, that was classism. Classism is very abundant in Latin America, but outside of that, like, they're not usually not racist unless they have money. Because you're dark-skinned? Yeah, as you should be. The US is far too racist. I'm afraid. Es que descubran que eres de México. Pues sí que muchos estadounidenses no saben que hay mexicanos que son blancos y creen que el color de piel de mexicanos literalmente es bronceado. Y eso me da risas porque... Exacto, no saben nada. No saben que... No, 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 no. Me cago en Dios. Vaya. Bueno, no pasa nada. Easy. Mi familia creo que... aparte de los niños de mi hermana... quien su padre es negro. No hay morenos. Why does the camera stop? Because I have zombie. Is this one of the hardest parts of the run? Yes. Vale, vale. Treasure, eh? Onza. No! Mierda. Here's tail music. Am I gonna run that next? Yes. Yo, Michala, what's up? How old am I? I'm 30. Thanks for the good luck. I don't think that's gonna happen in a run, so I think we're fine. Let's practice boiler and then I'll do runs. Yeah, I'm gonna be running Hero's Tale next. Uh-oh. I don't know, a zombie.
Ah, yes. The old alma mater. As a former student myself, I'm well acquainted with the latest in this institution.
Did everybody hear about the damn Twitch cracking down on botted viewers? And like culled almost 25% of the viewership? I bet you like 80% of those bots were titty streamers. Español, no soy español. Pero ya veo. You watch parts because it's too long? Yeah, it's really interesting though. You replayed and finished Crash Twinsanity a week ago? Nice. Pues lo sé porque soy americano. Soy norteamericano. Lo aprendimos en la escuela. Pero con los Vikings sí, eso sabía también. Is that gonna happen again? Discord call with the devs? I don't know. Pero resulta... Técnicamente sí, depende. Centroamérica es... no es un continente. Es una región. Pues es que mucha gente cree que... piensa que soy español, no soy español. Pero me hace gracia. How come I spin in those spots and cortex just appears attached to me? That is called twin split. I am actually spinning him when I'm separated by chunks. Pues sí, lo sé, lo sé. En Centroamérica, sí. Es que es una región, o sea, en inglés... consideramos que en Centroamérica no es una parte del continente Norteamérica, pero es una región en que viven mexicanos salvadoreños. No sé cómo se dice. Salvadoreños, sí. Etcétera. People say that you have a great accent in English. Could be true. If you've been working on it since you were 15, it's probably possible. Yeah. When you're younger... and you speak with natives at a younger age, your pronunciation will be good. Or if you have a particular ability like I do. I have not had to do that in ages. 1, 2, 3, look down. Should have worked. Yeah, there we go. You're 20 now. 5 years. Not bad. Pero depende del idioma. Por ejemplo, en Brasil se considera las Américas como un continente. No sé de español, pero sí. How many languages do I speak? I speak, depending on what you consider speak, I speak 3. I speak English, Spanish, and Japanese. But if you do count being able to speak very broken but slightly functional, I also speak French. ¿Tuviste la duda de cómo les enseñan en la escuela? ¿Solo es Estados Unidos? Aquí no. Pues es que América sí. América, pero Norteamérica es diferente. Porque consideramos que América es el país, pero Norteamérica es el continente. Centroamérica es la región, pero mucha gente cree que es solo México. Porque l'enfant. Siete, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 10 y... Vale, y uno más. Una más. The accent is not important. It's not super important. Spanish is good pronunciation. No pasa nada. Si quieres practicar tu inglés, todo bien. Si no quieres, también todo bien. Yeah, it's important to communicate. Pronunciation is important. You need to have pronunciation that's good enough to communicate. Like, I had this when I was in Japan for 3 months. I had, there was this guy, his Japanese wasn't bad, but he refused to learn any pronunciation, and so nobody could understand what the hell he was saying. But as long as people can understand what you're saying, that's it. For me, because I have a very special ability that allows me to change my voice at will, I'm capable of mimicking accents. Yo, toy chest. So when I'm speaking in Spanish, I have a close to Spanish accent. It's not perfect, but it's very close. Ser. ¿Qué pasa, tío? Cuando hablas en el es como gilipollas. Yeah, so Toy Chest, when he first heard me in a call, he was like, dude, your English sounds so good. I'm like, what the fuck? I have an accent in English you've never heard. That's because, I am from, Northeast Ohio, which we have a distinct accent. Slightly. It's not like it's, you know, that different from other American accents, but, yeah, we have a distinct accent, especially with our vowels. But I have a very, not distinct, but... Do I switch to a different personality? Yeah, Arabs pronounce the R like rrr, which actually, we understand perfectly fine in English, because it used to be like that. We used to pronounce the R like that. Not too long ago. Less than 100 years ago. Are there a lot of Amish in Ohio? Way too many. Yeah, you can practice your English. It's fine. Let me see here. What was I saying? Yeah, we have a distinctive accent here. Like, you'll probably hear people from Cleveland talk similarly to me. Not entirely the same. It's not quite the same. It's close, though. I have some special things from my particular region, but... But yeah, there's a lot of Amish in Ohio. It's kind of annoying. What's annoying about the Amish? Usually blocking roads, and they can be very rude to non-Amish people. And mind you, I'm speaking specifically about the Amish, not Mennonites. Because Mennonites is a little different. Hard to distinguish between American accents. You went to Ohio, it looks like Amishville. Depends on where you go. They are gilipollas. Yeah, that's actually very true. Our R sound is a rhotic vowel. Oh yeah, ser has yeah, he rolls his R's with his throat. They found us.
To the airship, quickly!
His niece? We don't know. Nowadays it's half and half. Okay. Music over, time for runs. The joke? There is a joke? But we don't know. You sometimes use your tongue, but it's not what you try. You seen the show Breaking Amish? Is it true that the Japanese people can't say the letter L? It's actually not true. This is... Yes, that was Dark Hollow. So, so the whole idea about that... Not gilipollas. And for you is good. Nice. Where's confusing Spanish with Asian? Understandable. So, so here's the thing, right? The L and the R sound for Japanese people is the same. They're the same sound. So it's not that they don't know how to do the L sound, it's that they cannot distinguish L and R. They don't have L sounding words, but they still pronounce it. In Japanese, the L sound is for emphasis. And it is considered an allophone. And what an allophone is it is a... Allophones are two distinct sounds that create the same meaning. Now, I could give you a very good example in English. So, what is the difference between me saying water and water? And water? And water? I said the exact same word several different ways, but they mean the exact same thing. This is what is called an allophone. Where you have distinct sounds that to the speaker of the language, they mean the same thing. So in Japanese, the L sound and the R sound are allophones, which means that to the Japanese, L and R, or anything pertaining to an L or an R sound, mean the exact same thing. Because of how humans categorize sounds in language. So like water and water, I'm using a r, which is actually a rhotic sound. It's an R sound. It's a flap, an alveolar flap. Water. And then water, which is a t. To understand the English language? Yes. That is not my, my idea, but yes. We are saying a soft, regular R to Japanese. Yeah. That's, like, very... Not a soft R, but rather, like... They hear an R when we say celery. They hear two R's. It's not that they're, like... They don't really understand the difference because their brain is trained to not have, to not distinguish those differences. When we're all babies, we can distinguish everything. Ward on. Yeah, like when we're babies, we can all distinguish these like sounds, but when we're older, we learn this. This game available in Japanese on the Xbox? No, but on PS2, yes. Damn it. Yeah, so like, that's the thing that, like, the reason why they can't pronounce them, like, let's say, for example, I'll say the word, I guess you could say it's like because in English, which is dakara, but for emphasis, you could say dakara. To a Japanese person, they sound about the same. To us, it's obvious I used an L sound. But then, for English speakers, this happens between R sounds and D sounds, which you can tell when I'm doing it in Spanish or in Japanese when I struggle. Because, like, since D and R are the same sound in my brain, like, just as a good example in Japanese, the word kudasai, which means, almost like please. It's a volitional, but it's kudasai. Or not volitional, it's imperative. Kudasai. But in my tongue is trying to say kudasai. Because my brain cannot distinguish those two very clearly. I can produce the sound, but I can't hear it natively like that. Is would because you don't have it in Arabic. Yeah. Would also kind of doesn't exist in Spanish either, but it is attached to verbs. So, these concepts, like, language is fascinating because, because, like, the general understanding is that Japanese can't say their L's. They can, but they can't distinguish L from R. So if you ever listen to a Japanese person who is good enough at English, you will still hear them make those distinct errors. Yo, James, thanks for the good luck. They say fishes. Oh, fishes. Dude, I can't fucking play the game. It's difficult for you. Learn Japanese. I do not understand. No entiendo. No te entendí. Buenas, Isaac. Gracias por la suerte. ¿Cómo andamos? Yo con pies. No, I did not. Imagine learning past and present in a new language would be hard. Depends. Estoy bien. Es que estoy un poco cansado, pero todo bien. Es que he dormido... O sea, dormí 6 horas. So, it depends on the language. When you look at Romance languages like French and Spanish, there's 3 different types of past, and, like, 2 different types of present. Which in English, we only have past and non-past, where we do have 2 different types of present, but the present tense isn't a present tense in English, it's a habitual tense. So in Spanish, there are 2 different types, like the 2 types of simple past are called preterite and imperfect, where imperfect is... Mañana ocupada, vale. What the fuck? Dude, that's dumb. So imperfect is a, verb where the action is incomplete. Or habitual. And preterite is just, it happened. And then you have past participle, which means it has just occurred. Which in English, the best way to describe imperfect is like, I was sitting at my desk. I used to run on Mondays. Preterite is like, I ate. I went fishing. And past participle is, I've done it. I finished my food. Which, by the way, said, I've finished my food, but you can't hear the V because it gets mutated into the F. So I've finished my food. But you can hear the double length consonant. So you can tell that there's 2 words. I've finished. So I finished, which is a single length, and I've finished. You can't read it? Creo que sí. De hecho, no tiene sentido exactamente. Las oraciones no son vinculadas. O sea, las frases no están vinculadas. Y te equivocas. Oración con prayer. Porque hora es prayer. Oración es sentence. There we go. So French also, by the way, does have this distinction, but a lot of times French goes for past participle. Orar, de rezar. No entiendo. I think I fucked it up. Yep. I didn't jump far enough and the camera just was not in a good spot. Damn it, I messed it up again. There we go, got it that time. La palabra prayer. Sí, es orar. No quiero resetear. Joder. Dude, I'm behind. Wait, this might be a hole-in-one. It's close. Hold up. But yeah, so English also doesn't have future. Pues todo el mundo sigue aprendiendo tu propio idioma. Tu propio idioma. Su propio idioma, joder. No hablo español. Vaya. Depende del país. Exacto. Es verdad. So, yeah, Spanish also has a future tense, which English doesn't have a future tense. It uses will and going to express future. So it's not like we can't express them, but we don't have words for. We don't reflect it in grammar. We reflect it in whatever. Quechua speakers have a strange concept of time. They mix up time and space, so when something is about to happen, it happens in front of them, and when it happens in the past, it happens behind them. Save silence now. Mi mente se queda en blanco. No tengo claro en tus oraciones. Perdón. Let me translate it as here now. That is interesting. So there's some good news with I'm able to do most of the walking now. Which is good because I expected it to take way longer than it did. I'm able to do most of the walking on campus now. My foot hasn't really caught up with it. So like usually my foot hurts by the end of the day, but I'm hoping that'll end soon. At least at least it should stop, or I hope it stops before winter starts, because that's when fibromyalgia starts to get bad, where like I'm gonna be in pain no matter what. That's gonna suck, but hey. I almost missed that. Oh, I got that gem. hay cosas que ahora sabes que tienes que corregir. En inglés sería there are things that I know I have to correct. How long do I stream usually? So on these weekdays, only a couple of hours, but I tend to stream for like 7-8 hours. Sin palabras. Puedes decir thanks. Cash, tit, sanity, understandable. Yeah, 7 hours. Pretty normal for me. But on these weekdays, since I have school, well, next Monday I'll probably stream like I'm gonna stream on Friday. So right now my stream schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday are like up in the air. So I don't know how I'm gonna do weekends, and I might do something different, or I might work on. Okay, fucking stick keeps flicking. I might. I'm thinking maybe I'll like switch things around to where I do runs on the weekends, and then on the weekdays I start working on learning Hero's Tale, or I do the other way around. I also want to figure out how I'm gonna go back into doing retro achievements, because that was really fun. I'd like to dedicate a day to retro achievements. Okay, my my finger slipped. It wasn't my thumb, it was my index finger. Which I kind of decided on the stream schedule being Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because like I wake up early anyways on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I wake up super early, give myself a couple of hours to stream. Bienvenidos a casa, supongo. And you found out that names can't be changed? Vas a practicar? Vale. Suerte. You can't, like, DM the admins or anything? Hardest trick in Hero's Tale right now is the trick where you have to keep jumping at the wall without double jump. That's not really that hard. Oh, okay. You know, funny thing about that, I found that. Though, not the version that's used. The version that's used was found by a person who recently passed away. Called Dustiel. But the original double jump list was found by me. It was a lot more BS. Believe it or not. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to learning 100%. I mean, a long time ago, that person and I, Dustiel and I, we once once wall surfing, wait, they call it wall grinding now. Once wall grinding was discovered, we actually went back and we rerouted 100% entirely. It's a lot of back and forth, sometimes insulting each other. Oh, man. Come on, land back on the tree, you bastard. That's way back in It wasn't 2014, it was 2015, wasn't it? Because I accidentally found a wall grinding just before 2015. It was like a couple of days before 2015, and it basically completely changed Hero's Tale. Because at the time I was learning Hero's Tale. Find swim and air locations. I was finding some swim and air locations back in... How old was I? Well, I was 11. So that was, 2006, 2007. I also ended up finding Zombie by watching, a funny, by watching a, Spiral 1 zombie video. And I'm like, you could do that in Hero's Tale, can't you? And then, turns out, yes, you can. Funny, 11-year-old me. Though the any percent progression, like, the guy was like, well, there's not enough evidence to support that, and that was kind of dumb. It's like, I mean, like, you would think that I would be a primary source for that. But no, okay, that happened again. No, the video was like, no, we have to use only evidence, so according to the current thing, it says that it was found in 2012 when I uploaded the first video of it, not 2006. So, eh. In all the Spyro games, I don't think I was doing much glitch hunting in Spyro games when I was around that age. I didn't really do much glitch hunting. I did more like, just doing glitches around that time. I didn't really find too many glitches. I didn't really start finding stuff outside of, zombie, some swim and airs and some clips in the water. In Hero's Tale, I didn't really find stuff up until, I think, like, my first thing, like, outside of that, my first trick I came up with, I think I was 16 or 17 in Halo 3, and I found a couple, like, stupidly complex stuff. You may have found stuff that was already known, and you may not have. Have you, like, double-checked to see if people knew this stuff? Because, like, it's totally possible that you have accidentally found something that nobody knows about. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I assumed the exact same thing about Zombie and the swim and air clips in Hero's Tale. Turns out they didn't find any of it. So, like, 100% runs? Yep. So definitely make sure to, like, double check to see if people have actually found all the stuff that you remember finding. Because there's a possibility that they might not have. I know there's one, trick that has been not really lost to time per se, but it has been lost to time. As in, like, the video itself of when it was discovered has been lost because the person deleted all of their videos or privated all of their videos. We know the video exists. We just can't find it. But it was, the reason why we really know about it was because at the time I found, not found, but I showed Zombie and the, Hub 4 Swim in Air using Zombie, which skips, Dark Mine and, Red's Lab. And that in tandem with another skip, which was, clipping through the ship at the beginning of Stormy Beach. It saved about an hour off of the speedrun. And we know the video exists, because, I mean, like, we were there at the time, we saw it, we used it. But the problem was that the person had privated all their videos, and we have no evidence to show of it. We know what the trick was, we remember what the trick was, I believe I've documented it, but the original video is gone, sort of. It might not be gone, it's most likely just privated, because the person's YouTube channel still exists. Well, we know it still exists. We don't remember what the channel name was, but we know it still exists. You can't disable the autosave. You can, but you need it. You need it for early Hub 3 because you have to reset the game. Since you do Cursed Warp, and Cursed Warp doesn't allow you to, it doesn't allow you to have, loading screens crash after you do Cursed Warp. It messes with Crash's state. That's why I'm dying here. Shit. You know what? I think I can still get this. Yeah. That's why I die there, is I'm setting up a Cursed Splash. There we go. I don't think so. No way. I turned to the right too much. So we do have continue without saving, but we need it for Hundo. Because otherwise, even if the game doesn't crash, you're losing a lot of time. Because the reason we go into, Hub 3 is so we can death abuse outside of, okay, that is a mosquito. I need to kill him. So, if you don't save and quit, if the game doesn't crash, you can't skip fighting Entropy and Embryo, which is the biggest time save in this route. Like, the biggest time save in the route is you don't need to... For one, you can bring zombie into high seas, so you can death abuse outside of high seas without grabbing checkpoints. That's what zombie does. I consider it the Gauntlet of Hundo because it's the hardest part of the run. Where you have to go, you do totem, then you do slip slide with zombie, and then you do high seas with zombie, and you death abuse at the end. That saves like 2.5 minutes. In and of itself. Early Hub 4 is nice because it, what Early Hub 4 does is, you can beat the final boss. And then you don't have to fight Madame Amberly. You don't have to fight any of the bosses, but you have to watch the credits. There's no way to skip the credits. If you could skip the credits, you could save 5 minutes. Or more. Like, if we could find a way to skip the credits, like, let's say we find a way to get all the percentage of beating the game without beating the game. You could save up to 6 minutes, 5-6 minutes. But that's the issue, is that doesn't really work. So instead, it still saved like 2.5 minutes over, it still saved like 2.5 minutes over standard route. But Early Hub 3 saves a little more time. Not sure where or why, but it saves a little more time. But you still have to save and quit for both of them. Because with Cursed Splash, you can't watch the credits, because the credits is basically a loading screen. Game crashes. So you have to save and quit. And plus, even if you didn't, you would need to save and quit anyways for zombie. So that way you can death abuse out of, well, so you could death abuse out of high seas, you could death abuse out of ice climb, and death abuse out of boiler. This route is built off of, those, concepts. Death abusing out of ice climb because you no longer have to, go to where Uka is. Death abusing out of, high seas because then you basically skip the walrus chase and you skip, fighting Embryo and Entropy. Yet you could still go up to enter Hub 3 or Hub 4, depending on your route. And then, I mean, Boiler, we've been skipping Boiler for years. So, that's not actually part of the route. Ugh. That was almost bad. I almost got ass lock. Like, if anybody has questions on the route, like why I'm doing something in specific, just ask. It's not, like, I know I go on tangents, but it's not like, get out of there. It's not like it's a bad thing. Okay, after this reset, I'm gonna double check to make sure I took my medication today. Because I'm having attention span issues. And I can't tell if it's because I forgot to take my medication today or not, which it's totally possible. What the hell? No! You gotta go. Thanks for the good luck. That was weird. That was very weird. I'm not saving time, but... Yeah, I can't tell if the attention span issues are due to lack of sleep, allergies, or lack of medication. Okay, that was almost bad, but I got it, at the very least. I think it's due to lack of sleep and other stuff. I think.
Well, a power crystal.
Ding. Yeah, of course, don't ever hesitate to ask questions. Especially if you're curious. Just, don't always expect that the explanation you will receive is gonna be an easy explanation, because I'm always overly technical with my explanations.
Yes, the crystal is mine.
Y pues es que si tenéis una duda de la run, avisadme. No me molestaría si tengáis una duda y queráis que os explico. Pero tened en cuenta que a veces no puedo explicar bien los bugs en español. Pero sí. Yeah, so what happened there was I got stuck on the bottom, which happens. I don't think that I could have prevented dying there. It's kind of rare, but it's like a thing that can happen. And also, it's not distracting. Y por cierto, no me distrae contestar preguntas. Also, if anybody, I think it's been out long enough to where it doesn't matter as much. Anybody that's seen the video with the video of the call between me, Dio, and Smarkin and the Twins devs? Does anybody have like a favorite part? Oh, come on! I pressed the jump button. Oh, okay. Even if you haven't seen the entirety and the entire video, I'm kind of curious to know like what everybody's favorite part is. Honestly, I should reset, but I'm not going to because I don't want to. I don't want to go back to Hub 1 right now. I'm pretty sure that I'll just be stuck in Hub 1 jail. I'm not doing well with Hub 1 today. I should not have dodged that. Oh, wait! Run's dead. I forgot. I lost the splash. Duh. The run was dead because I hit the water. I forgot about that. Ugh. But yeah, so my favorite part, like I have 3 favorite parts, which don't really, they're not that spoilery. Are, when, the dev kit. The dev kit, J-Mac explaining the dude who brought the dev kit home and got fired. Yeah, that was kind of funny, but also a very realistic, like, thing. Like, if you're gonna go into the gaming industry, that's something that you should definitely know. Don't take shit home. My favorite parts were, when I was explaining about Amberly's hitbox, and then J-Mac is just like, wait, so you can stand on her bosom? And I respond immediately, yes! And then I stand on her chest, and then just like everybody's laughing. That was hilarious. Another one of my favorite parts was when Ian was discussing how he made the implementation of how the AI for the villagers choose their paths. And then I'm just sitting there bullying the villager for like a minute. The other thing was J-Mac bringing up the metric of interest, because I just find that quote really funny. The one time where Dio brought up a foot pedal mentioned. And then right at the end, where I just say, damn, we peaked. Video ends. My ability to, like, say things out of left field that just throw people off in a humorous way. Yeah, like, my ability to be able to say something off rip in an unexpected way, in an unexpected but humorous way, like, for some reason, and I don't know why, for some reason, that's, like, just, I'm really good at that for some reason. Yeah, also, like, Smarkin said, immediately after I ended the video, he said, like, no, we haven't peaked yet. Or he said, I haven't peaked yet. I'm still climbing higher. Like, the thing is that you might call it a cut. That was not actually a cut. That is just literally when I ended the recording. I ended it immediately. The whole recording is unedited. All of that is unedited. There's no editing in it. I hope that, because I'm sure J-Mac is gonna want to take it and then, you know, make a proper video out of it. Because I sent him the raw file. I'm sure he's gonna want to, like, edit it, make it look pretty, and then maybe kind of professional or something. Oh, I'm not like a YouTuber. I'm not very good at like proper video editing. Like I did dabble in a little bit of it because of making tutorials. Which I don't know, maybe I'll do for Twinsanity properly. But I don't know, every time that I work on a tutorial for Crash Twinsanity, it always ends up being shitty. Or like it's never to my liking and it doesn't feel informative enough. Like the first one that I made was a lot more informative, but the issue was that it was too fast-paced and wasn't good enough to like explain to everybody like what exactly is going on, all this other stuff, and it was kind of disorganized. The second time that I tried it, that I was actually somewhat successful, it ended up over-explaining things. The pacing was really bad, and I believe it had some faults in it, which is why I never released it. We need to have like a proper updated tutorial for Twinsanity. The problem is like doing it takes a lot of effort, and since I'm like going to college at the same time, which I could actually, I do have the time because this semester is piss easy, but and plus like the biggest problem that I had, because it wasn't really like, I didn't stop the Twinsanity tutorial specifically because of the fact that I didn't like it. The original reason why I stopped was because it was in Sony Vegas and it was so heavily edited that Sony Vegas would not load. So I couldn't finish the tutorial. So the idea was going to be to cut things into more segments, but just wasn't able to. Plus, now I'm kind of like at an impasse with recording, because if I want to record stuff, first of all, I want to have hand cam. And second of all, I would like to, I want to have hand cam, number one, which is difficult for me to set up, and second of all, like, the other stuff. You always sound monotone and depressed. You developed a YouTuber voice. And becoming 1 hour long because of that. Okay. There we go. Yeah, like, I also have a tendency to go off script, so I never write scripts. Oh, come on. The hell was that? Definitely got the splash, I can tell you that much. I might be -8. I know that my, like, actual voice is kind of like, I'm low energy. Which kind of contradicts how I am, because I tend to be a little more high energy, but my voice itself is low energy. How did I don't know how I failed hover skip there. That's weird. Like, I know I'm I know my voice is low energy, but I am high energy. It kind of is a little strange, and I stutter, I use weird words, and all this other stuff, but I can't follow a script properly if I'm, like, trying to do explanations. Because if I write the script, it sounds like I'm reading off of a script. If I'm doing voice acting, it's a little different. But if I'm, like, reading a tutorial, it doesn't work quite right. I mean, for example, a lot of times, because of that, if I want to make, like, smaller tutorials, I tend to just do them with live commentary. Because then they're more coherent. And I'm very in the moment, so if I ever, like, would normally forget stuff with recording, or leave stuff out, I wouldn't leave stuff out with the live commentary. Because I always tend to over-explain, and I always tend to, like, be very exact. I try to be as exact as possible when I explain stuff. Cut the quiet parts out. Yeah. Ice. But of course, the tutorials are not meant for, they're not meant for clout, they're not meant to be YouTube videos, they're meant to be guides. All of, like, even if I start monetizing my channel properly on YouTube, I am going to leave all tutorials ad-free. I'm gonna make sure glitch videos are ad-free. Unless, like, tutorial videos, maybe I'll have ads at, like, if they're long enough, but the idea would not be to benefit from them, because I genuinely do not want knowledge to be, I genuinely don't want any knowledge to be, behind any kind of a paywall. I think that, especially speedrunning knowledge should not be put behind a paywall. I think I got it. I might not have. I got it. Speedrunning knowledge is impossible to gatekeep. That's also true. Like, the whole idea of Speedrunning Academy from GSA was really stupid. And when I heard that, I'm like, are you kidding? That you're going to try to coach people using money? That's a scam. Because speedrunners, most speedrunners would, not put their stuff behind paywalls. The problem with adding money into that mix, which is really dumb, is that if you add the money to the mix, it's actually ad-free. Dude, let's go. Like, if you're adding money into the mix, the people are gonna look at the one that costs money as the one being more official. And that person could be the dumbest motherfucker on the planet. But with how people work, is that they're gonna look at the one that's monetized and think it's more official than, like, let's say a person who really knows what the hell they're doing. Because they're gonna look at the person who is behind a paywall, and they're gonna say like, well, everything else operates that way. That person must have more, like, that person must have more expertise. And that's not always the case. It is the case in other types of, like, skills and hobbies. But in speedrunning, it's never going to be the case. And a lot of times, the people that put their knowledge behind paywalls, they're mostly just trying to make money off of their stuff. Charging money for a speedrunning tutorial, yeah. But, like, that's been a big reason why I haven't monetized my stuff, is because, like, why should you have to pay for speedrunning content? And, like, I do a lot of, like, glitch categorizing, glitch finding stuff, tutorials, knowledge of speedrunning, and speedrunning videos. And it's the same with Twitch, is like, that's the big reason why I was kind of hesitant to go into the affiliate program. Because it's like, well,
Yes, the crystal is mine.
but you understood the point, yeah.
Back, you weak-minded fool. Gaze or you'll go crystal.
The nice thing is that the majority of people who are actually in the community and know stuff will be able to tell who knows what the hell they're talking about. And who's just talking out of their ass. I'm very, keen on stuff like that. And usually, like, you could tell when the person does not know what the hell they're talking about, too. There's, like, specific tones of voice that unknowledgeable people tend to use, where it seems like they're speaking off of a script, or speaking off of somebody else's knowledge rather than their own knowledge. But, like, the person that actually knows what's going on is probably going to speak very slowly, and slowly but confidently, and give you small... Yo, Keyblade Master, it's been a while. But the person who's not very smart or not very knowledgeable will tend to speak quickly and monotonously, or, like, use a voice rather than using their voice. Very indicative of somebody, at least in terms of speedrunning, that they don't know what they're talking about, which kind of sucks. Don't troll me now, lazy. No, es porque eres gilipollas, tío. Soy el Giri poderoso. Yo, so ser. I did the Vaya Hombre Vaya on Hasu, and then he fucking died. Start using that tone on purpose, just to confuse people. See, the thing is that people aren't going to be. Is blue my golden time? No. Platinum is my gold. Blue is ahead losing time. Gold is ahead gaining time. No. And then I just said, soy el guiri poderoso. And then he lost it. I mean, he understood the joke. He answered the joke, but then he realized, like, wait a second. Oh yeah, he's not a native speaker, and then he just started laughing uncontrollably. I'm gonna lose... Caesar, I'm not sure how tone differs with Spanish. Bring Crash to Twinsanity to GDQ? You mean last GDQ? I was too far to the right, that's why the bat went out of bounds with me. Yeah, you did voiceover instead of live commentary. Yeah, see, it doesn't really transfer with non-natives. It doesn't work with non-natives. And also, like, I don't know how, like, because I know that there's the similar things between languages, but the tone is always different. Mr. Jipro-san. Yo, Kari, what's up? Or Matsu. You don't remember how you sound. You know, you could fix that by watching the video. There's also another thing which kind of sucks, listening to yourself true. There's another thing that kind of sucks is that, like, G-freeze. G-freeze. Oh. If the person does not know how to admit that they're wrong. You left a comment under the last record? Nice. I got way too many. Remember to leave a like and turn on that bell, guys. Hey guys, it's me, G-Pro. I'm back at it again. Back at you with another tutorial. So the first thing you want to do is you want to slide and then you jump. Because Crash is able to jump further and faster when he runs off of a ledge. This is called a long jump. Kill me now. Dude, get up there. Oh. Submitted library. Back at it again with another tutorial. Let's get right to it, guys. Sound awkward in the middle? Yeah, because I was trying to figure out how the fuck to say stuff that would sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. I failed it. I didn't fail it. Like, the thing is, I am fully capable of sounding like that. I just would rather kill myself in Minecraft. April Fool's speedrun tutorial? Nah. After this attempt, I'm gonna go grab my clothes. Salve Italiano. Let's not use Italian. At the moment. I don't understand Italian. Though... No, you're fine. It's okay. It's more so to try to prevent a conversation from happening. Which I don't think would really happen. And also I'm trying to be a little more fair. Camareta. Why? Why you do this? Yeah, I know Toquinho's Italian. I didn't lose that much time. But it still sucks. Wait, no, I lost a billion fucking years. What the hell? I'm gonna be pretty red. Pues es que voy a explicarlo en español. Is this chat only Italians? No. Mierda, hijo de puta. Pues es que, yeah, when I pronounce his name correctly. La razón por la que no quiero que otra gente hable en otro idioma que no sé es literalmente porque los brasileños normalmente tienden que conversar en tu lengua materna. Especialmente los brasileños, pero obviamente otra gente también. Pero es que específicamente con brasileños. Porque sucedió en mi chat. Muchas veces. Los italianos no. El vídeo. Gracias, Nicolás. Me alegro. Also, Ser, I hope you liked the fact that I said la razón por la que. I'm trying to get out of the habit of starting my sentences with la razón. Because Hasu like said, no, por la que. La razón por la que. And I was like, okay. Pues se pasa, ¿eh? Brasil, caralho, mano. That was fast, what the hell? Yeah. Also, Cratchit's from Sicily. ¿Algo de algún posible juego estilo Twinsanity? Creo que no. ¿Qué está diciendo Luke? Sí, pero... No tenía una buena pinta. someone outside of Brazil mentions it. You remember Chibidoki? Yeah, it also happens. It also happens, like, people in Latin America love Chibi. She's really cringe, but, people in Latin America love Chibi, and there's her Spanish, like, the fact that she learned Spanish really fucking fast, too. Like, she's able to kind of, like, make sentences really quickly. Pues sí, le conozco, pero es que no me gustaba lo que vi, lo que vi de este remake. Dude, it's funny because, like, every time I'm about to make one of those grammatical mistakes that Kasu said, no, you shouldn't do that, I'm just like, I stop, and I'm just like, oh, no, let's say this instead. So now I'm starting to become conscious of grammatical mistakes. There was no skip IRL, true. Well, I mean, there is. You saw Twinsanity at GDQ, but thought I ran it? No. That was Joe. If I were the one running it, it probably would be, would not have been so scuffed. And it wouldn't have been on PS2. Because I only run on Xbox. Oh yeah, I was gonna go put my clothes in the dryer. Whoops. I'll do that soon. Oh, you were talking to Toqueño. Okay. It's also really funny that, like, when Toqueño said, like, oh yeah, he speaks Romance languages because I pronounced his name correctly. I find that actually kind of funny. Sígueme, Cras. Hit the bomb once, yeah. Haz que lo que yo haga. Would I learn Old English or High German? Probably not. I have no reason to. Like, I was initially interested in learning dead languages. Or languages that are not very useful. But that was before I kind of understood how language learning works. I have no connection to German. And even less connection to Old English. I would have no reason. The Typhlosion? That's my Twitter. Forza seguimi, Crash. Stammi vicino e fai... Yo che faccio? Yo. I partially understood that. I know what you're... I understood what you were trying to say. ¿Qué otro idioma me gustaría aprender? Why do I sound AI generated in Italian? I'm dead. Em, ¿Portugués? ¿Cómo está el tema de independizarse en los Estados Unidos? De hecho, no sé. em, no sé qué significa independizarse. You just open up stuff like Indonesian on Duolingo. I would not use Duolingo anymore. I mean, I would have never used it to begin with, but Duolingo is very overrun with AI generated content. It's very bad now. It used to be kind of bad before because there were some issues with some stuff. A comprar una cosa e irte a vivir solo es muy difícil. Aquí, independizarse con la N. Independizarse. Pues que te faltó la N. Pero sí, es muy difícil aquí. Es... puedo decir que es un choque de la cultura porque normalmente la gente aquí... normalmente se muda afuera de sus... de la casa de sus padres. O sea, independizarse. Se independiza normalmente al punto en que eres mayor. O sea, cuando cumples 18 años. Pero ahora mismo no se puede. Even before AI, but yeah, now the AI is like really bad. Essere indipendente. I like how I sound like the AI generated voice. Bombardiro crocodilo. Tralalero tralala. Cappuccino asesino. Están por las nubes, sí. Tun sahun. Since I speak slowly in Spanish, you can understand what I'm saying, yeah. Sí, se pasa aquí también. I think I got it. Yeah. Especialmente las casas, pero también los coches. Pero el empeoramiento de la economía... ¡Mierda, hijo de puta! Forza Napoli. And yeah, I speak slowly just in general. Like, I have times where I do speak quickly. Also, I'm still forgetting to fucking put my clothes in the dryer. Can somebody yell at me if I don't do it again? Napoli, any percent, glitchless, no stealing. Hmm. Your mom. I don't know exactly what that means. I mean, I kind of figure that you're talking about, a city in Italy. Napoli. Okay. Famous for its crime. I'm learning. Guys, the American is learning. It's like the mafia in Sicily. The American is learning how to be European. Let's go. Who reaches it first, a bacteria or a Neapolitan? Probably a Neapolitan. Scampia, I don't think I want to. There we go. Fuck you. Would I rather have $100,000 or 1 million followers? I'm not answering that question. I mean, I could tell you what the obvious answer would be. Can I, like, split, please? Thank you. I mean, the most obvious answer would be the followers. Only because... Yeah, exactly. 10 million followers, you'd make more than $100,000. It makes sense. It's kind of a stupid question. But also, Brody has been asking me weird-ass questions like he's trying to, get, like, some kind of psychological profile on me, and I don't like it. Put my clothes in the dryer. I haven't reset yet! If I get brower strats, then I don't reset. I don't reset. I think I'm fine. I reset. Okay, it's time to put my clothes in the dryer, fellas. Give me like... Go take my meds. I'm pretty sure I took my meds. Ugh. I'm able to concentrate. I'm just tired. I'll go upstairs. Give me like 2 minutes. Spicy skip? Who the fuck would want to skip the spicy? Ow. 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 Yeah, what kind of brain rot do we got going on? Asking weird questions? Yes. You have asked me several weird questions. It puts me off. And I hope you don't ask people those questions IRL all the time, because that's really awkward. Should you call an ambulance? Nah, I'm good. I have a pain disorder. Like... And I sit cross-legged, so it hurts. Now, if I go up the stairs and you hear like a giant fucking like crash and you hear me like screaming, that is when you should call an ambulance. Hasn't happened yet, cross fingers. Yeah, clothes are in the dryer, and I hope they dry soon because I don't have a shirt on and I'm cold. But yeah, let me see here. So 30 more minutes of attempts. "30 more minutes of attempts and then I'll have to stop." Wait, hang on. Let me do some mental math here. Okay, so if I leave at 10:30, that leaves me how much time to get to my class? So I get there at 11:30, and it takes me, like, I think 20-30 minutes to walk, leaving me about 30 minutes. I think I can actually go for another hour of attempts. Just take the bus? No. Also, yo, bullet. So, here's the thing. It takes me an hour to get there because I have to drive there. What's the class for? This class is, American history up until the, American Civil War. So I have to drive. It takes about an hour to get there, and then because of my parking pass, I can either take the bus, which is full of stupid 19-year-olds, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna get really annoyed, and the bus will be full, and I'll have to wait even longer. Or I walk. So basically I drive for an hour and then I walk for about 40 minutes. I would be closer, but the thing is I bought my parking pass at the wrong time. So I get a really shitty parking space, which is like 30 minutes away because like they don't know how to handle their parking spaces. And they always leave that specific parking spaces for like first and second year students. Yeah, I have fibromyalgia. You were watching Gangs of New York the other day and thought it would be interesting to learn American history. It is interesting. Now, okay, on the topic of slavery, right, which, I mean, we're going to ignore the whole racial aspect of it, because that is a very specific type of race, not racism, but a very specific type of slavery that emerged, I believe, during, like, the late 1700s. So what a lot of us don't actually learn, yeah, take your meds, brother. A lot of people came to the United States, or well, to the Americas, or specifically, like, people came to New England, which would be the English-controlled space of America, either because they were looking for new frontiers, new ways to make money, which obviously, like, was total BS, and, a lot of indentured servants happened to go there. This was before they used the African slave trade in the Americas. Not saying that there weren't any, but what they generally did was they tried to enslave the natives, or they used indentured servants, which some families would actually write off some of their children to indentured servitude in the Americas because they had debts to pay. And there's a thing which a lot of people don't really understand, is that indentured servitude, which was, we could call that more like classic slavery, which, classic slavery was more so like a transaction where a person would either willingly, or somebody else on their behalf would willingly put them into slavery. Why did they travel that far? The majority, at least as we understand it. Now, mind you, this is how we Americans understand this. This is how we understand it, how we've been taught. The majority of the settlers came here because they were Puritans. And Puritans followed the Lutheran Church, which they felt that Europe in specific was too religiously free. they felt like they were being persecuted, and at the same time that specifically England was too religiously free. So what the Maine colony, which was the main colony that made Massachusetts, what they wanted to do is they wanted to create a community that was for, like, basically a godly community. One that was very devout to God. Because they felt if they messed up, then God would retract his, thing from, or retract his support from humanity. Essentially, like, basically killing off the entirety of humanity. This is at least what we're learning right now in this course. But, that was the majority of the Puritans. But a lot of them went there trying to find new opportunities. Either selling themselves into indentured servitude, selling their children into indentured servitude, or basically, like, they were kind of tricked into saying that things were really good over there. And, like, that they were doing some kind of helping, or things of that nature. But there was a lot of, like, really messed up things that happened at the time. Things didn't really go into, like, serious indentured servitude until I believe the 1700s, because in the 1600s, they were using a lot of European values, and what the Europeans have done classically is they would enslave each other and go to weaker nations and basically enslave them. That's what they were going to try to do with the Native Americans. They were not capable of doing so, even though, like, we were basically spreading disease. Which is weird because, like, when we Europeans got there, what happened was that a lot of them died off because of our diseases. But at the time, since basically 95 to 99% of the people that went there were Christian, they pretty much just assumed that it was God's will. Mind you, I am not Christian, I am atheist. Espiro giros tail. Anda, tío. Juegazo. The early G4 stream. True. Yo, Scarecrow. But yeah, so that's the thing, is like, do not search years of lead on Wikipedia. Okay. But a lot of it was, fortunately or unfortunately, the Europeans and the Native Americans didn't understand each other. And so, a really cool thing, which I really wish that this would be more of a thing that would happen. Why do people fuss over religion? I can kind of explain that in a second. So the Native Americans, how they operated, how their politics operated was on reciprocity. If you don't know what reciprocating or reciprocals are, to reciprocate something is to essentially do the same thing that other people would. So, like, basically, you depend on me, I depend on you. The Europeans didn't see it like that. And the Native Americans are partially like, they didn't really, the Native Americans partially were nomadic, so they would kind of, like, move around a lot, so they didn't have the same concept of, like, owning land like the Europeans did. So, European, yes. So a lot of it was, the potere. So a lot of it kind of led to a lot of clashes where, when the Europeans raided, which was different because, it was more for territory, the Native Americans were just appalled. When Native Americans raided and did stuff, it was more so for revenge or for, you know, not respecting each other. And usually they would leave women and children, which the Europeans would not. So it caused a lot of issues. And of course, like I said, the Europeans tried enslaving the Native Americans, and they could not do it. This is most likely why they went into the African slave trade once they were established. Which, like I said, completely different style of, like, enslavement. It was a very interesting and weird time. And also, the reason why religion has its place, which, I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm sorry if you're Christian, I'm sorry if you're, like, religious. I am going to, like, I'm gonna say this very bluntly. Religion is about control. It's all about control. In different styles. In different styles, it's about control. In the Puritans' case, the control was about trying to create harmony. Because they were living in fear of God's will. For a lot of it, it was about control to make sure everybody was believing the same things. Disguised as if you're not Christian or if you're not this religion, that you're going to hell. No, that's not why religions clash. No, I'm talking about this from, like, why they clash and why people make an importance of these religions. But that is essentially, like, what it has been. Thinking about basically all of the reasons why there's religious persecution, why there's always these kinds of things. There are reasons, and they're usually not cruel, but they always turn out to be the same, regardless of whether the intentions are cruel or not. Is that it always leads to levels of persecution, it leads to levels of prejudice, and it leads to, like, who's dominant over what. Because, I mean, here's the thing. In a power way, if everybody thinks the same ways, you can control everybody the same way. But in, like, a group harmony thing, if everybody has the same beliefs, they can use the same belief systems and all this other stuff. And gets told it's God's plan. Yeah. I go over, like, more of a humanistic feeling of it. Have you seen the movie Heretic? I have not. And also, Scarecrow, I used to be Christian, I'm not anymore. So what I'm saying is it's not an attack on religion, but rather historically how religion has been. In recent years, it's a little different, but a lot of people kind of, like, still go over the same things, and it tends to not be good. And it's not just for Christians. It's for a lot of different religions. But a lot of it has had to do with clashing with each other. A lot of it has to do with control. At least gives a person to live on. Not always. Sometimes people could say that it is in God's plan to die. I don't believe that that really exists much anymore. But in terms of, like, the Crusades, yes, this has happened. The good, see, that is one point that you make. What made me become atheist, I can talk about that in a second. That is one thing that is good about religion, is that if you feel desperation, you can pull towards that faith to make sure that you don't, you know, lose the will to move on. That is a good thing, but it is not required. But we also cannot ignore the, like, you can't ignore the negativity, the negative aspects of it. You can't ignore the like, negative aspects of it. What do I think of Buddhism and Shinto? Shinto's weird as shit. You don't need a religion for that. You do not. Hinduism, I don't like the class. I don't like, the idea that you are born into a caste system. I don't think that people's destiny should be decided before they were born. I think that's kind of bad. If I'm atheist, then explain the calendar year system. It's actually better to say I'm a-religious rather than atheist. But, Hinduism, very strict. Buddhism is, Buddhism's kind of cool. Shinto Buddhism is like, it's the special type of Buddhism that the Japanese have had their take on, which Shin literally mean it. Shinto is kind of like God's path, I guess you could say, if you were to translate it. And it's basically just the Japanese version of Buddhism, which is interesting because it's more culture than it is a religion. It was kind of like, oh hey, Buddhism, let's take it and then make our own spin on it. And also it was used for warfare, because when you ask Japanese people, like, what do you think of when you think of Shinto Buddhism? And they think of Tokugawa Ieyasu, who was a warlord. Now, the reason why I stopped like being religious in all forms is because the reasons why I was clinging to the faith was entirely because I was scared that I would die if I didn't. Essentially meaning that the only reasons why I ever had the faith in the first place was out of fear and not because I, in my heart of hearts, believed in it. That is the entire reason why, and that is not a reason to believe in a religion. If it's only because you were forced into it and because you were scared that if you didn't believe in it that you would be going to hell and being persecuted for all whatever, it's not cool. So I was like, you know, the thing is I don't have to believe in a religion to still, you know, follow morals and like try to make sure that I'm not like being shitty to people. And the thing is too is that, what was my religion? I was Protestant up until I was like 16. Like 16 or 18, I don't remember. But the thing is, and then my way of thinking is like, well, if it turns out that there is some kind of God that I would meet when I die and I go to hell because I didn't believe in it, I would say, well, that's kind of shitty. Why would you do that? And then if it turns out that there is something cool, then I just, you know, say, hey, you know, I was wrong. Whatever. And if people don't want to respect me for that, then that's your choice. I'm very neutral about religion. I'm not neutral about how religion controls people. But What are my views on Islam? Like I said, I don't really have any, like, really negative viewpoints. Exactly. Only really on history and how religion controls people. And also how people use religion as an excuse sometimes. And this is not the majority of people, of course. But it can be used as an excuse to do some really fucked up shit. It's happened in history, and it happens with people too. I don't like gay people because the Bible says gay people are wrong. That, I can't ever agree with that. Because it's like... Yeah, exactly. People are people. It's okay to have the belief. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, if you don't agree with homosexuality, I'm not going to say that you're wrong because, you know, you think differently than me. But if the reason why you are not liking it is because a book told you, or because of a belief instead of your own personal beliefs, I think that's wrong. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to have an opinion that's different because of, like, certain things, because everybody has their own reasons for believing stuff. Like, if you don't like certain things about certain people, or, like, you don't like certain aspects of life or whatever, there's no reason for me to dislike you on the basis that you have a differing opinion from me. That unironically believes in Christian cosmology. The only time, like, if you're actively making things worse for other people as a result of your religion, I also think that's wrong. Because you can have your own beliefs. I know that there's a lot of Islamic people who don't like homosexuality. And the thing is like, I'm not going to say anything about it because, well, you have your beliefs. As long as it's not something that was forced upon you. That's the only thing. But I'm not going to judge somebody for it. Just because I don't agree with it. I'm the person that's just like, if you believe it but you don't hurt anybody by doing it, then that's fine. If you're causing issues in society or causing issues with other people, then I think it's not fine. Because just because you believe in a certain thing does not give you a right to be an asshole. Basically. Yeah, and also, like, if some people don't like certain things because of trauma as well. You don't know what that person went through in their life. You don't know the reasons why, because sometimes there's very, very legitimate reasons why you may not like a certain race or a certain people of specific orientation. There may be reasons for it, and it can be very understandable. But again, it always goes back to, are you hurting somebody as a result of this? If yes, then I'm going to say, like, you need to change. But if it's like, well, if you believe this, but you're not really harming anybody in doing so, then, I mean, whatever. Everybody's got different beliefs, and every society has different standards and understandings of said beliefs. Every society is different. There is no reason for me to judge a society that I have not lived in. Always. Like... But I also do like to look at history, and if things happened, it's never a good idea to shy away from it just because there are positive aspects. I mean, that's kind of, you know, I've done a lot of dumb shit in my life. that quite a people know about. I mean, it's not like I did anything really bad. I just embarrassed myself in front of a bunch of people. And I was kind of toxic to, like, some people. So it's like, I mean, I'm gonna say, like, I'm not gonna shy away from negative aspects that happen in my life versus, like, things that I actually really enjoy. Like, you may listen to me like I really, really love Japanese society. The thing is Japanese society has a lot of really fucked up things about it. There's always fucked up things about everything. But it's like, I would probably say the reason why I think this way is partially because where I grew up is not women-only trains. They're there for a reason. Just saying. I would be allowed to go on them because I'm disabled, but, you know. Because women-only trains are not, they're for women only. They're for women, children, and disabled people. Why? Because there's a lot of, you know, I don't really care if I PB and this doesn't get any views. It's because a lot of women get molested on trains. It's called chikang. There's usually so many people on trains that, like, women get groped, or, like, people touch their crotches, or things like that. Turn the flash off when taking a picture. Yeah, basically. That as well, because, like, Japanese society is very hypersexualized. It's hypersexualized. Something a lot of people don't know is that they're very sexualized, but because they're super conservative about public displays of affection and things, so, because they repress it, it comes out in really messed up forms. So, like, there's that, and there's also another thing which doesn't translate in our European brains, because, mind you, and I was, one of my Japanese professors explained this very well to me, is that, and mind you, she's Chinese, and she moved to Japan when she was, like, 13. So, basically, like, our ideals and our morals, the way that our society works, regardless of anything, regardless of, like, however we believe, this, like, regardless of anything, we cannot shy away from the fact that the idea of God, the idea that there's always going to be some invisible force watching over us, has heavily influenced our morals. No matter who you are, if you grew up in a European society, or a European-based society, you always have in the back of your head that if you do something immoral, you're being watched, even if you're alone. It's instilled into our heads. It's been in our society for thousands of years. In Japanese society, this is not the case. This does not exist in East Asian societies. The idea of this is that, instead of some higher power, some higher being that may randomly watch over you, if there is nobody to watch, then it is only the person who has more power that is morally just and right, regardless of whatever they do. This is one of the biggest issues with Japanese society, which, like, it means that a boss will do some really messed up shit, and they can get away with it. And they will not feel any shame. Because they would be justified in doing it, because at the time, they were the person in power. They have a weird work ethic. It's partially because of the hierarchy that I just explained. but also because they're a collectivist society and, like, they've grown to have to do a lot of, like, group harmony and group cooperation because they live on a fucking island that is prone to severe natural disasters. It was created because their society was basically, like, always prone to just, like, collapsing because an earthquake and then a fucking hurricane happened. So yeah, when when you understand those kinds of things, Japanese crime makes a lot more sense. Like Chikang, which is, you know, sexual molestation on trains. Because nobody sees it. Japan's population collapse is not imminent, but it's close to being imminent. Their society will collapse first before their population does. Because all the old people are working on the infrastructure, all the new people are working on, all the new people are working in offices and stuff. So, like, with that in mind, behind closed doors, Japanese people tend to be very, behind closed doors, Japanese people tend to be, tend to do messed up things. But it's not because they're messed up people at all. In our views, this is messed up. A lot of times in their views, which, by the way, this is changing a lot because, like, the younger people are exposed to Western ideas. They're way more exposed to Western ideas. They are becoming more Westernized. They're, like, understanding a different concept of morals. But, like, the older generation has had these kinds of ideals for a long time. And it's not necessarily, like, you know, they're just messed up. This is inherently how their society worked for a long time. And again, it kind of goes back to the reason why we look at it and it's messed up is because our brains are European coded. This is how Europe has a... or, like, most European or Indo-European societies have, like, existed and functioned on for thousands of years. It's very important, when you're interacting with people from other cultures. And this is something that Americans don't understand, because we think that because we're a melting pot, we get to interact with other cultures all the time. We don't. A lot of times when we interact with people of other cultures, they're trying to assimilate to ours, or they have already assimilated to it, so we get a watered-down version of their culture that has already accepted some of the negative aspects of American culture. When we go abroad, a lot of times we don't understand that the way that you interact with people of other cultures is by understanding that the rules and laws of our society do not apply outside of that society. And a lot of Americans these days are incredibly indignant on their beliefs because we believe we're always just and morally right, which is not the case. All cultures have different ideals and all this other stuff. As they progress, they may turn into more of how we're thinking, partially. But that's just kind of like the whole thing. I like this stuff because it's fascinating to me. And I mean, like, I speak 3 languages. Japanese is, like, the one that's, like, more unique. So I've had, like, interactions with people outside of my culture, and I've learned things of, like, oh, hey, this is cool, or, oh, hey, this is kind of fucked up, or whatever. But this is kind of, like... Also, religion is a culture. It's also the reason why religion is basically, like, what's it called, like, publicly accepted or popular cults. Regardless of anything, that's kind of how that works societally, but that doesn't mean that it, like, says, oh, well, your faith is wrong because XYZ. Probably I would do really well with studying sociology, but I really cannot be, like, I can't bring myself to study cultures while I'm inside of the United States, because pretty much everything that we learn about, like, other societies is very United States coded. Or, like, with the lens of, through the lens of an American, which tends to be not have much, like, proper understanding of things. Like, that's one thing that I'm kind of, like, stupid about, is that if I look at something that says, oh, it's diversity, but it's taught by an American, or with American ideals, I usually laugh at it. Which I shouldn't, but at the same time, it's like, well, we don't know anything about other societies, and usually, and every time, based on history, every time we've meddled with other societies, it has always been negative. Split, please. Thank you. But yeah, that's basically my, like, giant rant of, like, everybody's different. I don't hate anybody for religion. And, like, I don't think anybody should. And if it turns out that because I don't believe in something that I'm going to hell when I die, and I find out that that happens, determinism or free will? See, that's an interesting question. I don't actually know what rules the universe. Because there's a possibility that the future already happened and time works backwards. Oh no. You're kidding, right? I didn't... Wait, what? Hold up. Hang on. Is it over? It's not over. Hold up. It's going. It's going. Can I explain my idea of how time works backwards? So there's a theory where because mind you, time is not linear, and the only thing about the understanding of time from the human perspective is basically it always goes from past to future, right? But the thing is that that may not actually be the case, especially because we don't know exactly how time works, because time doesn't actually exist. It's a human concept. And there is a possibility that time can work backwards. There is an idea that the future has happened and actually time is going backwards, but we are understanding it from our point of view, which goes from past to future. But it is possible that in the land of quantum mechanics, time actually functions backwards, and we are just experiencing it from past to future. because there's this thing where our perception, our brains, the only reason why perception exists is because our brains allow it to be that way. There's a possibility that, like, our brains would even be able to, like, understand time going backwards. Because when you get onto the idea of, like, theoretical physics and all that other stuff, it is entirely possible that, you know, every time that something can happen in different ways, that it branches off into a different part of a multiverse. At the same time, the Big Bang, which doesn't really... There's nothing that exists before it, but everything exists after it, that instead of it expanding, it's actually going back to the singular point, but we are understanding it from the backwards to forwards perspective. Because that is how perspective works. But in quantum mechanics, things don't really work that way. It's difficult to, like, describe. If Einstein was that smart, why did he die? Because he died. I mean, there's a lot of evidence to support things like, say, the universe was started in a black hole. It makes sense when you think about it, because from the Big Bang was a singular point with everything inside of it. We would start from death. Yeah. And that what we're watching or going through is actually, like, a semi-determined path from the future that maybe we can choose our different pathways. Does that mean that we can kind of read the future, but the future's the past? Yeah. That could be it, yeah. So, think about the similarities between, like, the singularity of the universe to the expansion of the universe. You think about things like Hawking radiation, where things just start, like, expanding and radiating outside of the singularity of the black hole. And also, when you look at, like, the level of expansion, things kind of like time and space reverse at some point inside of a black hole when gravity is so strong. Time and space reverse. They reverse roles, which means that time, which is finite, and space, which is not finite, switches, where space becomes finite in a singular point while time becomes infinite. But then if you imagine what happens when the process reverses, then the singularity actually starts expanding outwards, where everything was inside of a black hole that was swallowed by said black hole, which is starting to radiate outwards in infinite space. If roles are reversed, who can say that they can't unreverse? Which would basically mean that time, which went from an infinite to finite, meaning that there was nothing before that point, at least in that particular region of space-time, wouldn't expand and radiate out just like the Big Bang does. I have never explained that on stream before. I am actually incredibly interested in theoretical physics, and if I didn't do languages, I probably would be studying theoretical physics. I don't think I'm good enough at math for it, though. This is why, like, a lot of my, like, science-y part of my brain mostly works on video game stuff. But, I've actually been... If you were smarter, you would get more of that. I can explain it. I can explain it based on mathematical concepts if you want. It's like being a driver, but you're blind. Yeah, exactly. So, to understand basically what I'm saying, the biggest part that you need to understand is how a black hole functions. So, gravity is kind of like a fat kid on a trampoline. Now I have to explain it in Spanish? No way. I can't do that. But think of gravity like a fat kid on a trampoline, where, like, everything is going to gravitate towards the fat kid on the trampoline. But just imagine that the things around the fat kid are moving too fast to actually go towards the fat kid. Now you have gravity. Gravity is not as strong of a force as a fat kid on a trampoline. But because of that, things don't really go inside or fall into, they fall around. So that's why that is orbiting. When gravity becomes too strong, it rips space-time. It essentially, like... Please explain it like a 5-year-old would. Kid rolls around fat kid on trampoline. But, so things don't fall into stuff. A black hole is not really... It doesn't suck things in. It is just a point in space that is bending and folding gravity just like the sun does. Which the sun is the fat kid on the trampoline. Like, so all of the planets go around it because the sun is very big. It's very massive. And it's folding space-time, because space is a fabric. It's folding space-time, so things go around it. And this happens because a bunch of space dust clumps together. It clumps together, then it just basically, like, everything around it clumps together in smaller ways. The bigger things go into the... Or, like, the bigger things pull in more stuff, until it becomes so strong that it starts making the other things fall towards it. But because it works in circles or spheres, it moves around the curving rather than directly into it. Kind of think like if you have a balloon. Kind of think about if you have a balloon and you're trying to, like, go directly through the balloon, but the balloon is too heavy, you have to go around the balloon. The only way that you can penetrate through the balloon is if you're strong enough to push through. And most things aren't strong enough to push through. It'll always go around the balloon. And then you have gravity. So then if gravity's too strong, it rips a hole in space-time, but you still have that thing, like, if it's not going through, that they imagine due to math calculations, and hundreds of years later they actually found traces of them. I know. So, with that being said, basically, due to the math, because this is where we start getting into math, once gravity becomes so strong, because mind you, when I say space-time, I mean space and time, because they are linked to each other. They're not independent. Stronger gravity. I'm not an astronomer, no. I just like theoretical physics. When you are closer to a massive object like a black hole, time slows down. Space is infinite. Time is finite. So time slows down when you're by a massive object. So if you're by a black hole, a year could be 10 years on Earth. So then basically there would be a time when things become so heavy that instead of time being slower, euthanasia? I don't really know what euthanasia is, like, exactly, but I'm pretty sure I don't like it. If time moves slowly, there would be a point in time, or a point where instead of time moving slowly, it stops moving altogether. If time stops, like if time is frozen, it is infinite. Because if time stops, there is no perceivable time for humans. So for us, it would be frozen. For the universe, it would be, yeah, exactly. You have to be 2.1 masses of the sun to even, can be able to consider a black hole being possible. But, so, here's the thing. If it stops and it becomes infinite, what happens to space? Well, the thing is that at that point, space is in a single point. Like, just a little tiny dot. It cannot get smaller, can't get any bigger. Because the force of gravity is too heavy, that there's a literal hole in the fabric of space-time. Space becomes so tiny and has so much gravity, time stops completely, which means that it becomes infinite. Because then space becomes finite. But then after a certain period of time, a black hole will take everything it sucks up. Because it can suck things up, but it's hard to suck things up. Because it's no different from a star. It's just that instead of things that would fall into the star, instead of burning up, they get swallowed, essentially. Yeah, it's infinite in a black hole, which is basically like... So, if you add Hawking radiation into the mix, think about how that would affect a singularity in a black hole. How would it radiate stuff out from the perspective of a singularity? The only explanation I can give, and the reason why when they said, oh, well, we're inside of a black hole, is like, well, if you have Hawking radiation where the black holes just, like, emit all the stuff that they swallowed, that time eventually becomes finite again and expands outwards, just like the Big Bang. Entering a black hole and coming out of it alive would make time travel possible? Not really. Do I believe in wormholes? I don't know. Supposedly they've been able to do it on the quantum level. But I'm not entirely sure if we could make wormholes strong enough to be able to do it. Like, it makes sense in a mathematical sense that you could basically, because 3D space, if we talk about it in terms of like 4D or 5D, you could basically fold space to create a wormhole. But what do you need for that? You need to basically make black holes and white holes at the same time, right? How would you be capable of pulling that off on a scale that's large enough to fit a human being? That's pretty much what it is. So I don't know. I'm not sure if we could do anything outside of quantum tunneling. So yeah, if I broke anybody's brains, I'm sorry. And also, time travel would not be possible, not in terms of black holes. However, there's another thing that we haven't had. Exactly. So here's the thing. The speed of light mathematically is the speed limit of the universe. Not because Not because nothing can go faster than the speed of light, because that's actually not true. It is impossible to go past the limit of the speed of light. If you're going faster than the speed of light, you cannot slow down to be slower than the speed of light. It's impossible. But with that being said, the same thing... Yeah, how are we supposed to travel using black holes? That's also true. But the same thing applies to, traveling up to the speed of light, is that you can't go faster than the speed of light. So anything that moves faster than light will never move slower than light. Everything that moves slower than light will never speed up to be faster than light. However, what the idea is that you can stretch space-time, or you can connect two points in space-time together. But what does this mean? What this means is that if you send a signal to somebody else that's going at the speed of light, and then you basically create a wormhole and intercept your own signal, or try to intercept your own signal. The thing is that what's going on is that everything that's traveling at the speed of light is, if it's traveling at the speed of light, it's not aging. As in, it is essentially the same as if you were transmitting and receiving the signal at the exact same time. But also, it reaches its destination instead of you also interfering or intercepting it. This is essentially like the whole thing about how time travel works on a physical principle. If you move faster than light, time works kind of in reverse, in a way. Pues sí, es lo que estoy... Eso creo que es lo que digo ahora mismo. Yeah. So, so Juan Di, I'm pretty sure it sounds like you understand the topic better than I do. I hope that I'm like not saying anything wrong here. These are just my interpretations of the understanding of how the stuff works. Yo, Pete. Like, I would definitely have studied physics if I weren't a linguistics guy. Is that we get quantum computers? I mean, we do already. It's just that, like, they don't work well for what we're using. Like, they're very good for, like, quantum, or for, like, massive probability calculations. But they're not good enough to, like, have the same level of data of, like... Yep. Game crash. Okay. Here's the deal. The next run's gonna be my last run, because I shouldn't realistically be, doing another run. At the consumer level, yeah. Maybe. But yeah, I didn't mean to also get this into like a really cool into like a science like a science topic. Puede que sí, pero no funcionan bien. em, por lo que necesita servirse por el consumidor normal. Es que sí, sí son muy útiles, pero no por en la misma manera en que usamos ordenadores que lo utilizan o lo utilizamos, digo. Sorry, Pete, but this is my last reset of the day. We kind of nerded out a little bit. And probably, like, melted the brains of a bunch of people. You know, talking about black holes and stuff. I've had an interest in theoretical physics since I was a teenager, but I also had an interest in cosmology and astronomy since I was young. Do I think 100% is the hardest category in twins? No, any percent. Any percent hands down is hardest. Stay away from me with them physics. I mean, I don't like the actual physics aspect of physics. I like the theoretical portions. And things of like the understanding of the world. But I cannot for the life of me understand the mathematics behind it. I probably could if I studied it. I have like a serious fascination for it, but I don't think that I would be properly capable, as I am right now, properly capable of doing the things that I want to do in like that I would be able to do anything with theoretical physics. Plus, I don't think I would really find anything groundbreaking, because the problem with, like, say, you know, what I was saying with, it takes so long and there are many chances to fail during 100%. This is true, but because of that, you tend to do things much safer than 100, or than any percent. So, like, what I'm doing when I'm running 100% is, I am taking safe routes. I'm being safe with basically everything that I'm doing. So I would say for sure that 100% is not the hardest category. I would, in terms of difficulty, I would put, from easiest to hardest, I would do all levels. 100% standard route. Oh, wait. Oops. 100% standard route. Also with routes. 100% early hub 4. 100% early hub 3. No dimension skip. And then, any percent. Come on, get up there. There you go. So when you're doing 100%, you tend to be go for more consistency. If you don't go for more consistency, then you're going to lose a lot more runs. Yikes, I almost hit those nitros. Plus, there's also backups, too. The only big problem with the Cursed War pundos is that you have to, you have to bring Zombie into Slip Slide. So Slip Slide is basically something that you cannot fail. If you fail Slip Slide, it's over. You have to get every single gem. You can't make a mistake in Slip Slide. That's the only hard part. Everything else is not that bad. But even then, like, these categories are a little easier on the brain to pull off. Like, the Cursed War Pundo runs are easier mentally to pull off because, like, let's say, for example, you're doing, let's say, for example, when you're in standard route hundo, all of, like, there's a couple really hard tricks where you have Uka Skip, and then immediately after you do Ride and Slide, and then you do Slip Slide, like, that's difficult. That's why I don't go for the jump, for the shortcut to get the gem there quicker. What do you mean? I don't know which one you're referring to. Oh, no. You're talking about the second gem in that level. Do you mean, in Cavern? Or Jungle Bungle?
Yes, the crystal is mine.
I'm not sure which level you're referring to.
You weak-minded fool, avert your gaze or you'll go crystal crazy.
Cavern? What's the second gem you get? The second one is, where you, get Brower strats, right? Reason why you don't always get that is because physics suck. But it's like, you don't go for it specifically because you just can't. Yeah, you just physically cannot get that consistently. It's not really possible. If you could, that would be awesome, but I don't think you can. You just kind of have to hope that the physics are on your side there. But it is the reason why I don't reset over not getting it. Even though it loses 10 seconds, because where else in the run can I, like, gain that 10 seconds back? No way! That's dumb. I don't know what that was. I mean, I got proxied. Made me lose like 15 seconds. So I'm gonna be behind going into hub 4, or hub 3, which kind of sucks because I want to be ahead around that time. Because I keep losing time to boiler. I'm not sure if it's because I have the timing incorrect for the split. What am I doing? Okay. Yeah, being behind here sucks. How do you get on top of the tunnel there? Crashes into cutscene state? Oh, how did I make that? Crashes in the cutscene state, and then he leaves the cutscene state. Because of the way that they have the cutscene state work, what happens is that, Crash doesn't do the thing. It's 100%, but I'm already in hub 2. That's because I am doing early hub 3. So we do Cursed Splash into hub 3, and we come back to get Zombie. You're kidding, right? Yeah, the trick's been used in any percent for a couple of years, but this particular one... this particular one is, new. Is Pac the founder of SRCom? Yes. And he sold it to investors like an idiot. Dude, are you serious? There we go. There we go. So what we do with Cursed War Pundo is we beat either hub 3 or hub 4 to unlock all of the progression flags. So that way we don't have to beat Brio or Entropy. In an early hub 4 you don't need to why don't I do it like in any percent? Because you get another Cursed Splash to go into hub 3. Because if you do early hub 4 you have to beat the final boss, which means you have to watch the credits. Come on. Come on. Setup list? I mean, because I might die. It's only like a couple of seconds. Trying to do curse, but you can't figure out how to do swag crouch. Take your index and middle fingers and then switch beat. Slide between them while you're holding forward.
Ah, yes. The old alma mater. As a former student myself.
Or you could do a pool, or what Pete does, which is just time it. Probably the next thing you'll have issues with is you're going to have issues with the bat. Which my recommendation is to just see what I'm doing in this run. Because how I'm doing the bat manip in this run now is the most consistent method if you're not doing the faster body slam. You're kidding that I tapped it? Dude.
Ah, yes. The old alma mater. As a former student myself, I'm well acquainted with the many secrets.
I don't know if that's a controller problem. Because I've been having this issue. That's another minute. The run's mostly dead. Because, like, being 2 minutes behind is probably about the limit. I'm gonna try to finish the run. So dying again gets rid of those blockers. No, I just moved too far forward. What about the gems in Hub 2? You go back and you get them. Like, once you're done, you go back into Hub 2. You know what? I'm gonna do this to save the run. We're doing Pipers. I really do not like Pipers. Cross your fingers. You. Nah! Run Zed. I'll still play a little bit more though, just to kind of show everybody the route. That looks very hard. That one in particular, yes. It saves 20 seconds. but I have to do Gyro OB, which I'm not confident in. EO0. Ah, come on. Why did you just drop the jump there? See, my, like, my thing is, like, how can you see that strat in its entirety? I have a video of it up on my YouTube channel called Pipers. At max, like, if you combine it with Wampa Snipe, it saves 30 seconds. It's implementable time save, but it's not time save that I am confident in implementing yet. Because the problem is getting the long jump to do Gyro OB is really hard, and Gyro OB is also just hard in general. But essentially, it's just Gyro OB once you do that long jump. So it doesn't look very different from, like, say... like, you could just watch Smartkin's old 100% run. I'm gonna go back to studying. Take it easy, good luck with the studying. But yeah, I'm not good enough yet to pull that off. Was the incident GDQ 2015? I messed up. What? What? Cool. Common knowledge at this point, actually. You don't really need to do a long jump there. I always just do it for safety. You can ask Ser for more details, because he would probably explain it in more details that I'm willing to share on stream exactly. Especially because it's like beating a dead horse at this point. Damn it. I hate going for that. Oh, come on. That's dumb. Maybe I should just start going for that. Yeah. There's no reason not to. The movement's better here, too. There you go. Easy. Okay. I'll be back to doing runs on Friday. Friday I'm gonna stream at a more reasonable time. Because I don't have class on Fridays. And I don't know what I'm doing Saturday, Sunday. I think what I might do Saturday, Sunday is one of those days I'll do retro achievements, and one of those days I'm gonna work on relearning Spyro or Hero's Tale 100%. And then on weekdays, I'm gonna go for another week of doing Twins Hundo on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. If for some reason those don't, like, if it's the same stuff, what do I have class on? I can explain that in a second. If for some reason I don't do well in Hundo, I'll actually reserve Twinsanity Hundo for the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'll do retro achievements and Hero's Tale learning in the mornings instead. Today my classes are, today's Wednesday, so I have the American history. I have like early American history, and then I have it's nature. It's a class called Nature and Society, where we discuss nature and like the societal definitions of it and like misconceptions and things like that. Interesting stuff. And I'm taking a microeconomics class, which is like super fucking easy. And I'm also taking a cool physics class because I need to. And then my last class is on Greek. It's like old Greek stories, like the Iliad and the Odyssey, which my classmates don't know how to read, which is kind of disappointing. But yeah, so if anybody wants to join my Discord, here's this. I'm gonna see if I can set up a speech to text AI, or not AI bot, but a speech to text translator bot, so that way I can put stuff in English, Spanish, and Japanese, so that way people don't get as left out. And also basically giving me a reason to like not have to switch languages and stuff. Okay, there we go. If you want to join my Discord, there it is. Subscribe if you want to on Twitch or YouTube, whatever. I don't care. To be called the fridge. There's a reason for that. Thanks for the tips, GG on the record. No problem. You can ask me any time for stuff. I'll teach. I'm fine with teaching. People. Ouija's playing Paper Mario. Interesting. Again, you're the fridge. Understandable. Yeah, I don't really have anybody to rate at the moment. So I have world record in every category. But yeah. No, you didn't miss me getting this one. This is my PB from like a year ago.